Good morning. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Hope everybody is having a great day. Taco Tuesday, go out there and support your favorite taco truck. Let's get started with our day. This is a look at Bitcoin. It did tumble a little bit, going down to 62,500, and people taking some profits, and it is now bouncing back. Got up to almost 65,000 and is pulling back again. So that is the story. We have our target set at 66,000. Let us move on. Here's our heat map. Big cap tech is cooling off again. So that is the story there. Industrials, yeah, we got continued rotation. The other sectors, which is good. So it's pretty good if these sectors cool off for a little bit. And let us go over to our word of the day. Our word of the day is Volplane. Volplane is our word of the day of an airplane makes a controlled dive or downward flight, especially with the engine shut off. The daring pilots at the air show wowed the crowd by successfully volplaning. So there is our word of the day. Let us go over to our charts. Dollar is bouncing, pull back to its 200-day moving average and bounce, got up here to a red line, which is the 50-day moving average. Silver pulled back pretty strongly yesterday, and it is bouncing off of the 10-day moving average today. Gold is in the pivot area. Tried to get up, so tried to get up there once, twice, and it is clearing on the third time, which is off in the time when it does clear. Let's look at our mining company. This is now down below as 50-day moving average. Tech is pulling back a little bit, and our copper index is down heavily. So that's pretty interesting. Look at US oil prices pulling back as well. Look at uranium. Big pullback in uranium here. So let's go to our bond yields. Bond yields are down today on the 10-year at 4.19. And the 20-year are down as well, gap down in the 20-year at 3.288%. So that is a story, or 3.29. So let's go on to our news. Dollar Tree downgraded to neutral from overweight at Piper Sandler is down 0.22%. See if this one comes up. It does not come up. Hugo Boss cut its sales and earnings forecast for the year, citing weakening global consumer demand, especially in China and the UK. So that is that story. Not sure if this one will come up either. This one does, company Richmond ADR. Let's try Hugo Boss one for time. Definitely does not come up. Richmond said quarterly sales rose 1% to 5.3 billion euros, or $5.77 billion, after surging 19% in the same time a year earlier. So their stock is up 1% today. Shopify upgraded to buy from neutral at Bank of America and raised the target to $82 from $78. And they're up a little over 7% today. Starbucks downgraded to inline from outperform at Evercore ISI, sees lower earnings given the realization that recent and near-term same-store sales growth both in the US and China will be lower than expected. They're bouncing off of that news, up 2.3% today. Yum Brands downgraded to inline from outperform at Evercore ISI, target cut to $145 from $160. It's up 0.52% today. On to energy, industrials, and materials. KBR has agreed to buy engineering data analytics And digital integration company LinQuest from private equity Madison Dearborn Partners for $737 million cash deal. Expands its technical abilities across the aerospace and digital domains, and they are moving up. They're up over 3% and pretty good move on the shares, although the volume is a little muted. On to financials. Bank of America Q2 profit fell as its income from interest and a loan shrank, and it set aside more money to cover potential credit losses. Q2 EPS 83 cents versus 88 cents a year earlier, versus 80 cents was the estimate. Earnings are down 6%, but the stock is moving on up 5.3%. I'm going to pause for a second as we seem to have a little internet difficulty. We are back. Yeah, we continue to get drops on our internet, so sorry about that. Assurant is our next financial. Announced that it expects global housing segment to record approximately 46 million pre-tax or 36 million after-tax reportable catastrophes for second quarter 2024, with no single event expected to exceed 15 million in pre-tax losses. So that is the story there. On PNC, Q2 EPS $3.39 versus estimate $2.98 on inline revenues of 5.41 billion, which kind of matched what they're expecting. Stock is moving up 4.28% today. On to Service First. Q2 EPS 92 cents versus 91 cents. Q2 net interest income 105.9 million versus 101.31 billion last year. And shares are moving, and look at the volume on that one, up 1,288% in volume, and the stock is up over 12%. On to rental property REITs. Just to watch the shares of these. UDR, CPT, EQR. These are all the REITs that suggest watching, as President Joe Biden late yesterday proposed capping rent increases nationwide to 5% to rein in surging housing costs. So that is the story there. Healthcare. This is an IPO that we profiled about 6 months ago or so. Announced the designation of a regenerative medicine advanced therapy, RMAT, by the US FDA for autologous, fully human CD13 chimeric antigen receptor and T-cell product candidate. So maybe this might be something to look at, as it seems to hit a bottom. Looks like it's working on a bottoming base. We'll have to see if it can clear the 50-day moving average. So that is that one. Interesting. UNH, United Healthcare, Q2 EPS $6.80 versus estimate of $6.66. So this is, on this day, would have been tough to buy because it did break above the line, but then it closed down below. So, but it is up over 5% today. On to technology, media, and telecom. We got a little bit of slowdown on our internet again. Gets it dropped. So ASML. Get our cursor back over here. ASML is expected to report an influx of new orders when it delivers its second quarter results on Wednesday. The results are the first under ASML's new CEO, Christophe Fouquet, who took over the reins as Europe's biggest tech firm as it navigates ongoing US-China fight over chips. So it is up slightly today, up 0.82%. Datadog, which we did take off our short on our option spread. We'll look at that a little later. Datadog upgraded to outperform for neutral at Mizuho and then raised target to 155 from 135. So it is up slightly today. It's working on a pretty long base here. Looks kind of like a flat base. Here we got our square kind of box here, which we talked about Nicholas Darvis's square box. On to the match group, shares rose 8% pre-market. Take a look, yeah, they're about 9% right now. After Wall Street Journal reported the company has drawn the attention of another activist investor, Starboard Value. The hedge fund has built a big stake and the online dating company is pushing for a possible sale. The turnaround isn't successful. So that is the story there. On to Palantir, downgraded to underperform from neutral at Mizuho, saying while the company has performed generally well in recent quarters, Mizuho remains concerned by the lack of visibility into Palantir's business. Bounces off the 10-day moving average up 0.42%. Somewhat light volume. And Zscaler downgraded to neutral at outperform Mizuho. So that is our look. Zscaler did pull back and they're bouncing to remain above $200. So that working on a pretty long, looks like a cup formation. So that is the story there. Let us go over to our daily routine. It's up 5% or more. There's 54 items, so we're not going to go through all of these. We're just going to scan through. Got some financial, got some home builders, biotech, a lot of health, yeah, a lot of financials. These are all companies reporting. Logistic Prop Americas is a REIT, acquires, owns, and develops high-quality logistics in Central and South America. This is up 39% with 2,000% increase in volume. There's a match group we looked at. Banks. Pulte Group in home builders, which was our ETF of the day. We can just scan through. Look at some of ETFs. Didn't really look at the VIX. Volatility index is popping up, really jumped up yesterday. It's holding up strong. 1362 is our target. To 1347 so far. S&P 500. Up slightly, 0.33%. RSP. Got a breakout. That's good as things rotate into some of the smaller issues. The NASDAQ pulling back to the 10-day moving average. The equal weight in the NASDAQ is up slightly. It's also a good sign. Small caps continue to shine. Look at this move. That is simply amazing. We definitely got to break out. The area to, I guess, be in would be the triple hedged in the small caps. Up 7% today. And our Dow Jones breaking out as well. Pretty interesting. Yeah, the industrials up 2.22%. Our ETF of the day was home builders, up 4.35%. As you can see, number of home builders in our scan here. And let's take a look at a few other. See if this is going to work or not. Here we go. Energy bouncing a little bit. Pull back in oil prices. Got a little bit of a bounce here near toward the bottom on natural gas. Communications, pulling back to the 10-day moving average. Take a look at AT&T is bouncing off of the 10-day moving average. Real estate, look at that move. Got a gap up here, just continuing to move on up. Utilities pulled back yesterday to the 10-day. It's got a little bit of a bounce. Looks like the place to be is biotech. It just continues to shine. We continue to hold the triple hedge biotech index as it just up another 5% today. Infrastructure, look at that move, up 2.5%. Definitely working on the right side of this base. It's also the pivot. We'll pull back in semiconductors. And travel, got a big bounce in travel. See a Viking recent IPO just continues to shine, up another 2% today. And airlines, got a nice bounce there. XRT, sold this yesterday. I guess it sold a little too soon. It's up nearly about 3% today. And that is kind of our look around. So you can see that this is a double bottom formation. When it reaches 79.56, this would be a buy. But in reality, you just kind of draw the line over these tops. And today would be definitely would be an early buy. I bought over here, made a few points on an option. So let's go take a look around. We added to our BitX yesterday. It's up about 3%. Had a big move, big gap up, get above a 20-day moving average over here. MicroStrategy doing a 10-for-1 stock split. Just draw it over the tops here. Yesterday would have been the breakout as it just continues moving on up. We do have a put spread, 1290. We shorted the 1290 and bought the 1285, so that is performing well right now. NVIDIA, pulling back. If this can just kind of pause over here, this will be good as it just kind of hugs the 20-day moving average. We'll just take a look at some of the FANG stocks. This is pulling back, trying to get to its 20-day moving average. Amazon, holding right at the 20. Apple pulling back after it got to these sky high levels. That's kind of an unsustainable parabolic move here. See if it flattens out a little bit. Google pulling back to the 20-day. Looks like Meta is pulled back to the 50-day moving average. Big move down. Netflix pull back to the 50-day. Microsoft slicing through the 20-day. We'll see, comes back to the 50-day as people are rotating to the smaller issues as possibility for interest rate cuts continue. Dutch Brothers hanging right in here. We did add a little bit to Dutch Brothers on Friday. Elf Beauty has pretty strong sell-off, pulls back to the 50-day moving average. This can be a volatile issue. As you can see, big rise up here, strong pullback over here. This is mainly on worries about Ulta Beauty's revenue coming down, comes right back up, cup with handle. And so now it is pulling back again. We looked at Datadog a little earlier. We put on option, I believe it was 126 to 132. We took off half of the 132s. Dave, bought some of Dave, and Dave keeps moving on up on the right side. Bought it was right over here. Continues on up. It's up about 6% today. We still have our option in IoT. Samsara. We bought it right over here around 29. Sold half of it on the pullback right here. Kind of felt like this was going to be a cup of the handle formation, and just continues on up. See, make sure that I don't miss anything. We sold our Bitto yesterday and got in, put it all into BitX. It's up 1.49% today. CrowdStrike, it's pulling back. We'll see if it pulls back to the 50-day moving average, down 1.76% today. Front door, we bought, I guess right over here, pulled back, and it is starting to perform here pretty well. Arm, kind of bouncing back and forth. Bought right over here, came into the pivot, immediately pulled back, bounced back, pulled back again. Went down through the 10-day, pulled back to the 20-day, bouncing, and right now it's kind of riding the 10-day moving average. APO, Apollo Global Management. This is, I believe this is our third buy. We first bought it at 111. Sold it, I believe, right over here, right on 117. I believe we bought it here. sold here, and then on the pullback, we bought it around 116.98. Pullback again, we bought it at 116, and it is continuing to do well over here. And that, let's look at a couple more issues. On CCJ pullback, got a pullback Denison Mines. So our long-term 250 covered call option expires on Monday or on Friday. We did look at Kava Mediterranean Grill. Pull back to the 50-day, just kind of riding here. And our covered calls at 100 expire on Friday as well. So that is how we ride that. We did put on a put spread on a couple of issues when we thought the pullback was maybe overdone. On Brothers, I believe we did the 39.35 short put spread. We sold the 39s and we bought the 35s. And there was one other issue that we put on the put spread. Can't recall right offhand, but that's another chapter for another day. This wraps up our meeting. This is Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. Hope you find the data interesting and you can use it in some way. We look forward to continuing to help your money work harder than you do. Continue to go out there and work on your goals and keep up your activities and meet them. If we can help you with any of your financial goals or activities, please reach out to us. In the meantime, have a great Taco Tuesday.